Right. So, welcome. A block might be useful for the practice today. It's mainly for the seated part. So if you require a replacement, it might be a thick or sturdy cushion or, rolled up a blanket or something like that. We might need that to start with, or unlikely. Now, I will ask you to begin lying down on your backs while we're trying to get into the flow of things today. So lying down, please become very comfortable for yourself. You might have a little cushion under the head, or even cover yourself with a blanket, which could be appropriate where you are. And if you like, you can choose between steadying the gaze towards the ceiling and closing the eyes. And then becoming quite restful on the mat, just dropping the shoulders down, letting your legs come to a restful position. And as you lie back and be comfortable, take a deep, full breath in. You can even hold the breath for a moment. And then have a big sigh. And that sigh is aiming to relax your physical body even more down into the mat. And then as our topic is today to go with the flow, or let everything flow, I suggest to think about that. What is it that doesn't quite flow in your life or on your mat? And as you might find something, or even if you don't, you could take another deep breath in. Hold the breath, potentially, and a sigh out, letting all of that go. And then beginning to notice that natural flow of the breath. Also being aware if that is smoothly flowing, or if there's an element or that idea of you forcing the breath to be in harmony. If that is the case, just let that go as well. The breath might regulate itself as the body is restful. We will then practice Viloma, so without going with the flow, we're actually going against the flow with that. So for this breath, we will breathe for 3 counts into the belly, 3 into the lower ribs, and 3 under the collarbones. And then we're breathing out from the top down to the bottom for a long count. If you find the counting is unsuitable for you, you might enjoy just taking these 3-part breaths and maybe even skipping the hold of the breath. So lots of options for you. As we begin to breathe into the belly, 3, 2, 1. Into the lower ribs, 3, 2, 1. Up to the collarbones, 3, 2, 1. Maybe hold the breath here. And then out from the top for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, breathing to the belly, 3, 2, 1. Lower ribs, 3, 2, 1. Collarbones, 3, 2, 1. Maybe pause your breath. And out from the top for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then pausing your breath for a moment and just letting the breath flow naturally in and out of the nostrils. Maybe there's a new appreciation for the breath now as we controlled it and how it flows when we don't. We'll go for one more round here. Again, please modify if required. Breathing into the belly, 3, 2, 1. Lower ribs, 3, 2, 1. Collarbone, 3, 2, 1. Maybe hold. And out from the top for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back into the belly. 3, 2, 1. Lower ribs. 3, 2, 1. Collarbones. 3, 2, 1. Maybe pause. And out from the top for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, just breathing, relaxed, aware of the flow of breath, aware of the body restful. You might then like to step your feet onto the mat in a relaxed manner and even release your arms by your sides. Letting your knees gently roll from side to side as we often do at the beginning, just to limber up a little bit around the pelvic area and lower to mid-back. So as I said, it's more of a warming up movement. It might gradually increase by range, it might not. And you could also choose to roll the head from side to side. I will remove my socks for the next movement. If you are wearing socks, is the message. You might remove them as well. So to step the feet up towards the buttocks, keeping them about hip distance apart. The toes are pointing directly forward and your arms are now aligning by the sides of the body. The palms perhaps touching the mat. With the inhalation, just tilting the pelvis to flatten the spine out, and with the out breath, squeezing the hips up. On the inhale, rolling the spine down. On the exhale, squeezing the hips up. Inhaling, rolling down, and it's your range of movement here, whatever up means for you, just staying with that for a few more rounds. With the in-breaths, we'll lower. And with the out breath, we're squeezing the hips up. Go for a few more. Next one that you come into, you might like to hold. Even drawing your tail up in the direction of your knees to increase the overall length in the front side of the body. And for you, an option, while I will be resting my left arm today, to reach both arms up over the head and rest them onto the ground for a fully extended bridge. And you might like another encouragement to draw the tail up towards the knees. And as you inhale, lifting your arm to face arms to the ceiling, and on the out breath, then rolling down and the arms releasing back down by the sides. It could feel nice to draw the knees up to the chest, give them a little hug and a squeeze. And you might also enjoy rocking from side to side, giving a little stimulation across the back. And now either just falling over to one side, which you could, or you could rock a few times forward and backwards to find your way up to a seated pose. That might give you a deeper sense of massage through your back and activates your core muscles. So once you come into a seat, turn around and change that seat into an all-four stance. I'm only appearing to be brave. I've got long sleeves on, so if you need to wear less for the physical practice, please do so as well. Spreading your hands out at about shoulder distance, placing the knees down hip distance, and an option to tuck the toes under. With the inhalation, let your elbows soften a little, lift your tail and your gaze as you open the front of the body. And with the out breath, surrounding the spine for the cat. Inhaling, soft elbows to lift tail and gaze. Breath out around the spine. Your choice, the breath as you continue flowing through your nostrils. or exhalations coming from the mouth. If you would like to add a bit of core work while you're rounding, lifting the knees about 2 centimeters off the mat, but then ground them again as the in-breath comes to come into the back bend, and lifting again if you like on your out-breath. So you continue for another 3 breaths, your variation, knees on or off the mat. And then releasing the posture and even untucking the toes. On the next in-breath, let your right arm reach up and turn towards the side. So thread the needle movement. So with the out-breath, thread underneath without resting down. On the inhale, and lifting your arm again. On the exhale, bring it through once more. Last round, breath in to lift and open. And with the exhale, then threading the needle, and you might lie down onto your ear and your shoulder there. With the left hand, you could leave that on the ground, extend your arm to the front of the mat, or wrap the arm behind the back very gently. Allow yourself to look along the floor for a little while, noticing how the twist in the spine is unfolding. And also, here might be obstacles for you. As we are practicing with our own flow, just noticing what arises for you in the physical practice or within the mind and emotional body. Let's place the left hand back down onto the ground and then push into the mat as you inhale, lifting the arm again. And on the exhale, releasing your hand down. Now we'll repeat that on the other side. Left arm is lifting as you take a breath in, look over, reach your arm up. And with your out breath again, thread the needle. As it's a movement, reach your arm back up on the inhale, opening your body to the side, and out breath, bring it through underneath. One last round, inhaling, raising the arm up, turning to the open side, and then threading the needle. And again, you might rest down to your ear and your shoulder and just look along the floor here. You can leave the right hand there, extend your arm to the front of the mat, or gently place the arm behind the back. All options for you to rest in as your gaze again flows just along the floor. Comfortable, you're resting down, but there's a little twist in the spine. Placing your hand back onto the floor and reaching the left arm up again as your next in-breath comes. And landing the hand down with the out-breath. Letting your hips now sink back towards the heels, leaving the spine long, head maybe on or off the mat, the arms long. On the in-breath, come onto all fours, tuck the toes under and exhale for a downward dog. Then inhale, bring the knees back down, flatten out your feet, and exhale to return to the extended child's pose. I guess some of you are very familiar with these movements. On the inhale, there's an all fours. Exhaling might be a down dog. Inhaling is always all fours. Untucking the toes then, and the extended child's pose on the out breath. So please continue with the 3 movements, alternating the child's pose with the down dog on your out breath, and being at the all four stance on the in breath. As you keep moving like this, make it less about the outcome. So the outcome would be the posture in which you are with each breath. So while the postures are remaining there, focus more on the flow. And I also suggest to become quite slow, letting your breath now flow as slowly as you might like that to be, and beginning to make it all about the transition. Barely a rest in any of the postures. Keep it moving. Noticing any forms of resistance. Modifications, of course, are welcome. Puppy poses could be in there. And then the next time that you come into a downward facing dog, stay there. If that's not for you, stay in all fours instead. Take a little walk on the spot. As you paddle out your legs, the hips might begin to swing. You might also move your arms a bit, finding new ways of moving here. And then walking the feet all the way to the short front edge of your mat. And rounding up the spine as you breathe out. With the inhalation, lifting both of your arms up, maybe extending your gaze up. Optional, very mini back bend. Touching the palms of your hands together, soften the knees. Take the hands through the midline and fold on the out breath. On the inhale, the hands might come up, extend your spine forward, half lift. On the out breath, step your right foot back into a lunge. I suggest you collapse the lunge, but knee to the floor is the other option on the inhale. And with the exhale, rounding up the spine into standing. Reaching both arms up on the inhalation. And letting the shoulders soften while you gently draw the left hip a little bit back to align with your right. Your gaze could be forward or upward. With the next inhale, reach the fingers towards the ceiling. With the out breath, bringing fists of fire and sink a little bit in. But we'll change that now. For the inhale, reaching forward and extending the back leg. For the exhale, pull the fists of fire in and lift your spine. So inhale is like an arrowhead lunge. The exhale is to bend the knee and pull the fists in. Do another 2, inhale. Exhale. Let's reach forward once more into the arrowhead pose. With the exhale now, pull the knee up and your fists in. On the inhale, stretch your arms back up. On the exhale, fists still pulling in, but leg is extending forward. So inhale, bend the knee and reach your arms up. Exhale, pull the fists in and extend the leg. One more time only. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull. While you inhale, bend your knee and reach your arms up. And here the ankle might rest to the thigh. As you pull your fists back in, lean the spine forward. Create a strong flexion here in your ankle joint. Hands could rest down to the lower leg. You might sit a little bit deeper if that suits, or you can stand on both feet if required, more like a chair pose. You might also like to reach your fingertips to the floor or a block. Keeping a strong flexion in your ankle joint here, sitting as low as you like for a glute stretch. Then roll up through your spine. Breathe in, lift your arms, your knee if you're lucky, or like me, tap the toe to the ground. Then land your foot. Release your arms. An option to close the eyes or steady your gaze as you stand firm on both feet. So maybe there's a bit of a sense of a flow within the body right now. It might be a spreading of warmth that you feel as the energy here. With the next inhalation, lift both arms up again. There's an option to deepen your standing back bend. Then touch the palms, bend your knees, and exhale to fold forward. On the inhale, lengthen your spine to the front, a half lift, Adho Uttanasana. And exhale to step your left foot back into a deep lunge. Same here, on the inhale, either collapse the lunge or bring your knee to the mat. And with the exhale, rounding up through the spine. On the inhale, lifting both arms up towards the ceiling. And as you hold here, it's the right hip that draws a little bit back to align the pelvis. Arms extended, gaze might be forward or up. On the inhale, maybe reaching a little bit taller. For the exhale, pull the fists in. And now you might like to change to an arrowhead as you extend the back leg, reach both arms forward. And bend the knee again, lift through the spine as you breathe out and the fists are coming in. Let's continue that for a few more breaths. Inhale for your length. Exhale to pull back. Two more. You might like to reach forward one more time, but now you could pull your knee up into standing on your out breath. While inhaling, raise your arms. With the exhale, pull fists back in and extend the leg forward. Inhaling, lifting knee and arms. Exhaling, extend and pull in. Only one more. Inhaling, reach. Exhaling, pull. Inhaling, bend and reach up. And then place your ankle to the thigh or step the foot to the ground. Pull the fists in and lean towards a chair pose. The ankle here is in a flexion. If you happen to find balance, the hand might reach towards the lower leg or the thighs if you're standing on both feet. And you might even like to bring the fingertips to the ground. Keep the stronger flexion in your ankle joints. Sit the buttocks as low as you might like to, increasing the stretch. Rolling back up. Lifting again on the inhale. Landing the foot and releasing the arms. Finding your mountain pose again. So align your feet. Stand tall and strong. Gentle softness through the knees to release through the pelvis. And as you stand here, notice again the flow. You might feel a sense of warmth coming through your body. You might have a feeling of the energy moving through the body. But definitely there's a flow of the breath. With the next inhalation, let both arms reach up again. On the exhale, bring the hands down the midline and just folding forward. On the inhale, taking a half lift as you lengthen your spine. And with the breath out, stepping the right foot back, but only a meter, and please take it out to hip distance too. Keep a bend in your front knee. And then lift both arms up for warrior one. So my stance here is a bit wider. Arms might be lifted, shoulders relaxed, and the hips are facing directly forward. If they aren't for you, widen your stance a bit and turn the back toes slightly forward. With the arms, both of them ideally reaching up, the front knee over the ankle joint. Aim to pull the feet in a little bit towards each other, finding a deeper foundation. You might even lift your gaze on your next breath in. On the out breath, then let your arms open and turn towards the front knee, both arms reaching out at shoulder height. The in breath, lifting the arms again, centering your warrior one. On the out breath, arms pushing out and a deep twist again. One last time, take an inhale, Virabhadrasana 1, and exhale, applying a twist. While you stay in the twisted version, your feet are still switched on. And you might like to bring your backhand to the back of the thigh. While you take an inhale to lift your right arm, maybe even looking up, reaching up with the right hand fingertips, creating a sense of length through the hip flexors. With the inhale, then lift your back heel. And with your out breath, take a windmill of your arms down towards the floor. Step it back to a fours or a downward facing dog. On the in-breath, let the spine roll forwards and come into a plank or a kneeling plank. Your tailbone is drawing back towards the heels. There's strength between the shoulder blades. On the out breath, keep your elbows in and land your body down onto the floor. Maybe releasing the forehead down. Your arms could extend along the side of your body. Or you might interlace the hands behind your back if that feels good. Lengthening the arms down the back if you do so. And here's your option to raise in and lift on both ends, the legs, the head, the chest, and maybe even the arms, either by your sides or away from your back. Variations of locust or shalavasana, as you might like to hold here just for a little bit longer. As you release back down onto the floor, let your arms come to rest and maybe turn an ear down to the mat, beginning to tune in with the internal flow. What is that feeling like? What is it like within you when the flow is adapting? The beating of the heart finding its own rhythm again, going with its own flow. Same with the breath. Is your mind aligned with the flow? Your emotions flowing? I would like to center your head now. Bring the hands back down by your sides or under the shoulders. Push up onto a fours on the inhale. You might like to stay here or draw the toes under and exhale for another downward facing dog. If you are coming into down dog, you can move that again or hold it steady. If you choose to hold, let the knees soften and let your tailbone reach that little bit further up and back. No matter the posture you're in, on your next inhale, lifting the right leg up. On the exhale, bend the right knee and let your knee and hip yearn open to the side. This is all that we will do today. So you're making the effort of both arms bearing the same weight. So with both shoulders facing forward, directing this opening to the hip and a twist to lower to mid back. On your next exhalation, swing the knee up towards your elbow. And then land the foot behind the hand. We will also ground our left heel down onto the mat. Bringing the hands in between and just a little sway here of the upper body. Then let the upper body surrender down on your next inhale. And with your out breath, rolling up the spine through the center. Straightening your legs and lifting both arms up on your inhale. And then bending the front knee and the arms come out to shoulder height, warrior two. The gaze comes forward over the front hand fingertips. Your feet are aligned, so heel with heel or heel with arch. The back heel is turned out a little bit and the front knee is aligning with the toes. And from there, you might draw the feet back in and get that lift from within, that inner strength. With your next in-breath, lift both arms back up, but hold your legs the same. With the out-breath, take the hands behind for an interlace. And you might draw the arms away from the back while you lift your heart and your gaze, breathing in. On the out breath, there's a humble warrior as you lean towards the inside of the front knee. Your arms may lift away from the back. Humble yourself as you bow down towards your own practice. Your right shoulder might be a guide for the right knee to stay in place. The head might surrender if that's uncomfortable. Keep it about halfway up, and you may use the thigh in that case. And let your hands release to frame the front foot. Lift the back heel and find length again in your spine on the inhale, before stepping the foot forward and bowing down to forward bend on your exhale. Inhale, a half lift to lengthen the spine. A breath out to fold forward. Keep your knees in a bend and use your feet to lift up. Inhaling, maybe there's a little back bend. Taking the hands down by your sides as you breathe out and land again in a mountain posture. Just for awareness, noticing your two sides. How the breath is always finding a rhythm. Noticing if you're just going smoothly along with your flow, or if you feel any type of resistance. Well, that's fair. We're just learning a bit more about ourselves. With the next inhale, lifting both arms back up, and there's an option for a tiny back bend. Touching the palms and soften the knees and the elbows, folding forward. Inhaling a half lift. Exhaling, stepping your left foot back into a lunge. And that's not true. We'll step the foot a little bit in, shortening the stance to 1 meter. Leave it out to hip distance as well. Keep your front knee at a bend. And once your feet are aligned like this, warrior one stance, then push down into the front foot and lift both of your arms. So again, once both arms are up there, the hips are facing forward. So I've got only about 1 meter between front and back foot, and the feet are out to hip distance at the same time, so that the hips have it easy to look forward. Then draw the feet in towards each other, strengthening the foundation. And you might even lift your gaze up if that's you, warrior one. Let's inhale and reach the gaze up 2. And with the out breath, turn towards the side where your knees at front and the arms go out to shoulder height for a twist. Foundation stays steady. Inhale, turn to the front and lift your arms. Exhaling, twisting again, arms reaching out to the sides. One more round, breathing in to raise the arms, Vira 1. And exhale to hold the twist this time. Well, your arms are reaching out, the feet are still pulling inwards. And you might like to rest the back hand to the back thigh and take a breath in to reach your left hand fingertips up. You might even lift the gaze up to the fingertips. Really reaching up, finding the length through the hip flexor. And then inhale to bring the back heel off the ground. And with the exhale, create a windmill. Your hands are coming onto the mat. Stepping your foot back or fours or downward facing dog. Take another inhalation. Let your spine roll forward and find a plank or place the knees down onto the mat. As you do so, draw the tail back towards your heels, lifting it up between the shoulder blades. Gaze is downwards. Inhale. And with the exhale, bending the elbows, lowering pelvis, belly, chest, and forehead to the ground. Your arms might lengthen again right down by your sides of the body. Or you could find another interlace of the hands, but maybe changing the fingers in front, behind your back. The other option might be to bend both knees and reach for the ankles or the outer sides of the feet for a bow pose. If you choose the last option, please make sure that your knees are reasonably close, not any further than hip distance apart, to protect the lower back. On the inhale, you might then lift the feet into the hands, the arms away from the back, the legs, the head, the chest away from the floor, finding your variation of the back bend and remaining in it. See if your breath is easily flowing. If you are engaging, either if your legs are long to the back end of the mat, the inner thighs, or if the feet and your hands, the feet into the hands, and also the inner thighs to hold the shape. Maybe there's another breath in here for you, or even two. And then as you breathe out, surrender to the mat. Let your legs come out long, your arms rest. And you might also like to turn the other ear to the ground to rest. Let yourself become still, soft. Breathing. Breathing the breath back into its natural flow. Same with the heartbeats. Notice if everything else is aligning for you today. Then draw your hands back underneath the shoulder by the side of the ribs. Lift to all fours or extend into downward facing dog, your choice. As you find your shape here, let's take a breath in to raise the left leg. And then bend the knee and open the hip on your out breath. No matter whether you're on a down dog or all fours, the hip will open to the side with both arms similarly strong. The shoulders squared off towards the front, that opening in the hip and the movement into the spine. Inhale. With your exhale, swing the knee forward and place your foot right behind your hand. Then you might ground the right heel to the mat. Bring the hands between the feet and start to move and sway your body. Collapsing the upper body on your in-breath and rounding the spine up to stand on your out-breath. Lengthen both legs and extend both arms up on your inhale. And with the out-breath, bring a bend into the front knee and extend both arms at shoulder height, looking over your front hand fingertips, finding a steady gaze point here. Let's feel into our stance as the back heel a little out, so the hip is slightly turned in. Is your front knee comfortably aligning with your toes? And are your feet gently drawing in to give you the extra lift? Gaze steady, the posture is strong. As you maintain the strong foundations, you might like to extend your arms up again on the next inhale. And then swing them behind for an interlace of the odd kind, so the other finger on top. As you might lengthen your arms down, lift your heart and gaze. And on the out breath, leaning the body forward towards the inside of the front knee, arms might lift away from the back if you like. Humble yourself. If it's possible to keep the head low, relax the head, relax the neck. Foundation is strong. And the upper body gives you a sense of surrendering to the practice. Another way of getting into a flow of harmonious postures and breath. Let's release the hands down to frame the front foot. Raise the back heel and lengthen the spine. And you might then bring both knees down onto the mat. Swing your feet over to one side. And come down to a seated position. Now I will grab a block for this seated sequence. As I might have mentioned before, it can come in useful for these postures. I will provide you with lots of options in case your hips or your knees are feeling a bit challenged with this. So I will pop the block onto the mat and my hips up straight onto the block. I will extend my left leg out, keep the right knee bent. Now, the usual posture or the more used posture is Jana Shirshasana, where you rest the foot against the inside of the leg and let your knee fall outwards. That could be your gentler variation and the foot could be anywhere. If you would like to come with me, with a deeper flexion of the knee, place the foot directly by the side of the hip or the block, touching your knees together instead. For all, you might like to bend the left knee and flex the left foot. Let's rest the fingertips down as we sit together, maybe in different forms. Take a breath in to lengthen your spine. And with the hour breath folding from your hip, the hands might come forward as you align your torso over the front leg. If you're seated like me, your left hand could be a good guidance to keep you more centered, as that could press a little bit into the floor or the mat. Keep your left foot in a flexion, and if your lower back allows you to, you might slide the heel a little bit further out, deepening the shape. But try not to force, go with the flow. And the flow here is not only a shape that has only the necessary effort, but also the deeper flow of your breaths, as you might be able to lengthen the out breath to assist the flow of the posture itself. With your next breath, you might lift about halfway out. Please don't feel obliged to continue with me. There is an option to simply fold back over the leg. If you would like to come with me, take your foot into your hands or your ankle joint and bend the knee up towards you. Both hands on the foot might be your option as you take it off the ground. And then there's the option of extending the leg. And you might like to pull the leg up towards your nose for a little while. So for you, ideally both hands on the foot, deepening the stretch. Now bring a bend into the knee anyway and place the foot down onto the mat. You might like to leave a little gap here between the knee and the foot. Slide your left hand fingertips behind and bring your right hand to the knee, or even wrap your elbow around and turn yourself over into a twist. If your twist is as deep as the elbow touching the outside of the knee, you might bring those two together to assist you turning a little bit further. Next, inhale. Turn the head to the front. With your exhale, bring the hands down and then extending your right leg out. You might just simply like to turn your knee open, and no matter where you place your foot, whatever works for you. Or if you're coming with me again, bring a deep bend into the knee, touch your knees together and place the foot by the side of the block or the hip. While you ground your fingertips to assist you, please bend the right knee to begin with. Flex the foot. Inhale. And on the out breath, folding right from your hips, leaning the belly over the thighs, and the arms might follow into the posture and even reach forward while the head might lower. The same option here. It's now the right hand that can be a gentle guide towards the left. It's not much needed when we sit on the block, but maybe a lot when you sit on the ground. Other option is to slide the heel out to lengthen the leg a bit more. If you do so, stay tuned in with the flow of everything and notice where you're at. Never forcing, never moving against the flow. Turning to the lengthening of your out breath. And with the next inhale, lifting just a little bit up. You might take a hold of the ankle, the foot, or choose to stay in that forward bend. As you might bend your knee in, taking a hold of the foot, there is the option of extending the leg up and drawing your leg up towards your nose. Well, you might hold with both hands here or remain in your forward fold. Take a few more breaths. Then bending your right knee, and we will all place the foot down onto the mat. Maybe a little gap between the foot and the knee. The right hand fingertips are landing behind the left hand or elbow reaching for the knee, and on the elbows beginning to turn towards the knee. You might also wrap your elbow around the knee or take it to the outside of it. If that is your choice, move elbow and knee against each other to assist with the deeper twist. Just a few breaths here, holding yourself as tall as is possible while twisting your spine. Inhale, let's turn the head forward. Exhale, bring your hands down, and it might be time to have both legs out long, even if that's just for a moment. Give them a little wiggle. You might like to pop off your seated support. You can place that out to the side. We won't need that anymore. I would ask you to shuffle around so that the feet align with the short edge of the mat. Simple reason that you've got space behind you. Grounding your hands down by your side as you breathe in, finding Dandasana or staff or rod posture. And with your out breath, taking a slow rolling the spine down onto the mat. As your back comes to rest onto the ground, leave the arms by your sides and step your feet back up onto the ground. You might have little adjustments here to make yourself more comfortable. We will then extend the legs up towards the ceiling if that works. And both arms up to the ceiling too. But you might like to drop your shoulders down instead of lifting them up. So that the hips are still heavy, the shoulders are still heavy. And you might just simply start with wiggling and jiggling your arms and legs just to create some internal flow of fluids as well as energy. You might pause that wiggling and allow the energies to tingle and settle. Before you go into a dead buck movement, so for that, moving legs and arms wildly. Feeling as if you are a bug on the back trying to get up. Any movement will do. Keep moving like this for a little bit. This is a great movement to engage your core muscles all over, but also quite good practice for any back issues. One of my teachers recommended this movement to practice very regularly for its benefits. And also for the simplicity, as well as that the joy can come in with this movement as it's so out of alignment of everything else that we might do. As you might find the end of your movement, just leave the limbs up there. And then let your knees gently bend into the chest, and you might like to give the knees a little hug in. If it feels good on your next out, by take the nose up to the knees. And release the back again onto the ground. And you might want to rock once more from side to side, finding a bit of cross stimulation over the back. And you could, to complete, open the arms out and return to rolling knees from side to side, but this time potentially with the feet away from the ground. Movements might start small despite the body being warm and could be extended over time. I like to keep my head steady at the moment, but if you feel you would like to turn the head, please do so. And let your feet come to land onto the mat. Let your arms align just a little bit away from your body. If you would like to use a bolster, you might pop that underneath the knees. You can bring cushioning under the head, blankets over you. And you might also choose to keep your knees bent, leave the feet on the edges of the mat and let the knees drop in for a constructive rest. Or you might like to extend the legs into Shavasana or corpse pose by letting them roll open so the toes are pointing outwards, legs apart, arms a little bit away from the body. You can choose again to steady your gaze against the ceiling or just simply close the eyes. Whatever is more comfortable for you. Allowing yourself to reconnect to the internal flow. The flow that happens within you. A flow that you might have under control, but can also use in daily life as an indicator for how you are, how you're responding to life's situation. Tuning back in with the flow of your breath, just moving through the nostrils. Noticing how the breath becomes calmer just by continuing to breathe without trying to apply any control. You could also choose to start visualizing that you sit next to a river, a lovely, quiet, safe spot for yourself, where you can rest your eyes upon the river and how the river flows. The river doesn't see the obstacles as such. Nothing stops the flow of the river, really. It just embraces all that is on its path. Rocks, roots, and branches are embraced by the water, and then the water flows on. How much more harmonious would your life be if you were like the river, embracing all the challenges on the path, sometimes just finding your way around it, choosing the path of the least resistance. You might have an idea if you look into your life when you were last forcing one of your issues. We're forcing against others, competing. And even if you got it your way, how did that make you feel? You might like to observe instead the flow of energy in nature, such as the river, and the flow of human behavior, and then choose that harmonious way of dealing with things. Seeing the river and observing the flow. Peaceful and harmonious. The card that came to the practice shows a lot of beautiful green light and leaf. And it's said to be about Reiki. Maybe it's also about energy or energy healing. It says on the card, we're often drawn to a spiritual practice to feel relaxed or to feel less emotional or physical pain. However, your soul has you moving in this direction for a higher purpose. This is for you to discover who you truly are and how you relate and co-create in the universe. To see beyond what you think you know, to feel the great freedom that is awaiting you. Allowing energy to illuminate the very truth of you. That energy is aligned with the universal life force or the breath of life. It isn't merely a process or modality that, if followed, will enlighten and heal. It is unconditional love, the essence that brings balance to all things. Open yourself to receiving the love, wisdom, and empowerment that is here for you and each of the breaths as they keep flowing. As you engage with deepening your breaths, impacting your internal flow, notice if you feel then an urge to move or to stay still, and just follow that flow. But keep deepening your breathing, reawakening the body in that sense of prana moving through. And whether you've chosen to move or not, you might like to roll over onto your side and then to join me in a seated position. We connect with the universe once more. And if that's right for you, bringing the hands together in front of the chest, thumbs might lightly touch towards the sternum. We'll seal our practice with one chant of Om, our universal sound. Let's breathe in for it. As we gently bow to each other, acknowledgement and humble towards ourselves. Namaste. Thank you for joining. I will come up and show you the picture on the card. I might change the camera for that. There's too much light up there. And rather hold it here. It's a gorgeous display of light and green color, and it's such a color of heart energy. So what a beautiful card to pop up in the sense of flow of energy and flow of life and practice.